Most traders who find this channel have already studied more than most people will study anything in their lifetime. The concept, the structure, the psychology, the setups, hours that turn into months, that turns into years, and they still cannot answer one question honestly. Why? When you know this much, does the market still feel like it is one step ahead of you? Not always, not on every trade, just enough, just consistently enough. That real confidence, the kind that does not evaporate the moment a position goes against you, has never fully arrived. I am going to answer that question today, and the answer is not what most trading channels will ever tell you. By the end of this video, you will understand the single difference between a trader who studies the market and an operator who reads it. Not a strategy difference, not a style difference, a thinking difference. That thinking difference is what this channel exists to build. And once you see it clearly, the way you have been approaching this market will never look the same. Stay with me. This is the Disciplined Trader. This channel does not teach patterns, does not sell signals, does not show highlights reels of winning trades dressed as education. This channel teaches two things simultaneously: the mechanics of how institutional participants are forced to move price through a market, and the psychology of how you need to think to read those mechanisms correctly under real conditions with real money at stake. Not one or the other, both. Because one without the other is why most traders who study this market for years never reach the level they are working toward. Everything taught on this channel comes from one source. Thousands of hours of independent study. No paid courses, no mentors, no borrowed framework. Dressed as original thinking. The market itself, its structure, its behavior, its institutional logic, studied directly. This is not a channel built on what someone taught me. It is a channel built on what the market showed me when I stopped looking for confirmation and start asking better questions. And everything here is completely free because the traders this channel is built for deserve access to the highest level of thinking available without paying for it. Here is the reality for most serious traders. They sacrifice more time than most people around them will ever understand. They study harder, they care more, they are more honest about their losses and more disciplined about their analysis than the average person is about anything, and they still cannot find the consistency they are working toward. Not because the strategy is wrong, not because the concepts are inaccurate, because knowledge and understanding are not the same thing. A trader can know every concept on the chart and still lose consistently, can identify the zone, the level, the structure, and still enter at exactly the wrong movement for exactly the wrong reason. And when that happens, the instinct is always the same: study more, add more confluences, watch more videos, find the next concept that will finally make everything connect, more input, same output. Because the problem was never the input, the problem is the question being asked before the entry, and most traders have been asking the wrong questions since the day they started. I have lost money on trades where my analysis was correct, not because the setup failed, because I believed in it too completely. There is a specific feeling that comes before a bad trade. Most traders never identified it because it feels like confidence, it feels like clarity, it feels like finally I see exactly what the market is going to do. That feeling, that certainty is the most dangerous state a trader can be in, because certainty removes the question, and the question mark is the only thing that protects you. I sat in front of the screen after trades like that, not angry, silent. The kind of silent where you replay every decision, not to learn from it, but to find the proof that you were right and the market was wrong. And sometimes I went back in, not because the setup was valid, not because the conditions changed, but because some part of me needed to prove that my analysis was correct. That is revenge trading. And I am telling you this not as a warning but as a confession, because every trader who has ever been honest with themselves has been in the exact movement, staring at the screen, building a case, going back in. The market did not break me in those movements, my certainty did. And the question I came back to every time was not how to find a better setup, it was why did certainty keeps feeling like edge when it was the thing destroying me. Here is the belief that holds almost every serious trader at the level they are trying to escape: that consistency is a knowledge problem, that the gap between where they are and where they want to be will close when they find the right strategy. the right model, the right entry system. It won't. Because the traders who reach real consistency do not get there by accumulating more knowledge. They get there by fundamentally changing the way they think, not think about trading, think during trading. The retail trader sit at the chart and ask, where will price react? The operator asks, what does price needs to complete before it is ready to move from this location? Those are not variations of the same question. One is looking for a reaction, a signal, a confirmation that says enter now. The other is reading an objective, a sequence, a behavioral logic that was already set in motion before the trader ever opened the chart. That shift from reactive to contextual, from pattern recognition to institutional reading, is the only gap that actually matters. And it is the gap this channel was built to close. I want to tell you something I have never heard another trading educator says directly, and I want to tell you through something that happened to me, that I am certain has happened to me, because the movement I am about to describe is the exact movement most traders lose the most money, and it does not feel like a loss. It feels like clarity. Same chart, same candles, same price action. The retail trader sees a structure, levels, zones, patterns. They ask, where is price likely to react? Is this is a valid setup? Does this look right? The operator sees behavior, sequence, institutional logic. They ask, where is the liquidity? Liquidity resting right now. Who is positioned incorrectly? What does price needs to collect before the real move can begin? Most traders are looking at identical information. They are asking completely different questions, and those questions produce completely different outcomes. The retail trader is reactive. They wait for confirmation, which by definition arrives after the optimal movement has already passed. The operator is contextual. They understand the process price is in before it completes, which is the only place real edge exists. This is not a personality difference. It is not a confidence difference. It is not a discipline difference. It is a thinking difference. And thinking, unlike talent, can be built. That is what this channel builds. That is what this channel does. It does not give you a better strategy. It builds a better thinking framework, one that reads institutional mechanics and manages the psychology that sits underneath every decision you make when real money is on the line. Because in this market, the mechanics tells you what is happening. The psychology determines whether you can act or what you know. Without the noise destroying the execution, you need both. This channel teaches both. The answer to that question was not what I expected. It was not about discipline, not about risk management, not about more screen time. It was about the question itself. Because certainty only forms when you stop asking questions. And in a market designed to punish certainty, and the question you ask before every entry is not just part of your process, it is the entire edge. Let me show you exactly what that means. Most traders are one good strategy away from consistency. Operators knows consistency was never about the strategy. Every loss you cannot explain has an explanation. Every time certainty arrived before the entry and the trade failed anyway, there was a reason. Every movement you sat in silence after the loss, building the case to go back in, there was a belief underneath it that the market owed you something, that your analysis made you certain. That certainty was the same thing as edge. It never was. Certainty removes the question mark, and the question mark is the only thing that protects you. The operator does not trade from certainty. The operator trades from context. Not this will work, but this is what price needs to complete. Before this location has any real significance, that shift from certainty to context, from reaction to institutional reading, is the line between a trader the market can manipulate and an operator it cannot. That is what we build here, section by section, concept by concept, question by question. And this channel is where that builds begins. My name is Bilal. This channel is not for the traders looking for the next signal, not for the trader who wants someone else entries, not for the trader who believes the answer is one more indicator away. This channel is for the trader who already knows enough and still cannot find consistency. For the trader who sits at the chart after the loss, not angry, just silent, knowing something is missing, but not yet knowing what. for the trader serious enough to want the real understanding, not a borrowed framework, not a simplified version, not a highlight reels dressed as education. On this channel, you will learn how institutional participants are forced to move price through a market and why that process creates every pattern, every zone, every signal you have ever studied. You will understand the psychology underneath every decision you make under real conditions with real money on the line, and you will build gradually the thinking framework that turns all of it into a coherent read before the setup forms, not after. The operator mindset built from the ground up, completely free. This is the disciplined trader. Before your next trade, before your next chart, I want you to sit with one question honestly. The last time you identified a setup, what question were you asking? Does this look like a valid entry? Or were you asking, what does price need to complete before this location has any real significance? One sentence, one question, because the question you are asking before the entry is the exact distance between where you are now and where you are trying to go. That gap is what we close here. Subscribe. Every new video builds on everything before it. This is the full build. Trading is not a performance. It is not a proof of intelligence. It is not a competition. It is the daily practice of reading a market that was designed specifically to make you react before you think. The traders who find real consistency are not the ones who found the perfect strategy. They are the ones who built a mind that the market could not manipulate. That is what we build here. One concept at a time, one question at a time, without shortcuts, without signals, without someone else's certainty, borrowed as your own.